Saturday, September 28th, 2025, walking to the gym. It's been a couple weeks, I guess, since the last video. So I'll give you an update. A lot is happening both on the home front and in the world, so we made the decision to go to the US for about 6 months, maybe longer, depends on the work. Right now I'm working from home. That contract's ending, but it looks like I'm going to get another one, with another company, work from home. But let's see. I also want to get a personal project done there. I have a condo there. My mom's living in it. So I'd like to get that renovated. Badly needs an update. Housing market's a bit slow. I think demand for renovations, all this is slow. So we might actually be able to get some contractors. It's not like here in Ukraine. Here in Ukraine, the contractors are crazy busy, long waiting times and all of that. But in America, I think there's a lull, and I'd like to take advantage of it. And so, we're going to go to the U.S., Virginia Beach, and then if we want to stay longer, we'll work our way up to the Delaware, where there's a hotter job market for my skills. And also, I just like the people up there generally better. Virginia Beach is it's got like its own inside circles and its own peculiar way of being. It's a nice town, infrastructure-wise, and biking trails, hiking trails, walkability, I guess, for exercise. You still have to drive to the supermarket there. And if you want to drive to a safe supermarket, you got to drive a little bit further. I don't know what it is about the ocean front over there. It should be like a luxury area, but it's just like I don't know. It's like everywhere else in America. Everything is in pockets. There's like a hood right next to billionaires. It's like it's a strange place. You'll see. I'll do a whole video series on the renovation. Do one track. I'll probably put the GoPro to work on time lapse and do a time lapse of the renovation with the GoPro, and then I will just vlog, I guess, as usual. Along the ocean front. So it's winters are not warm. It's not Miami. It's going to be a bit cooler like it is here. So we'll see how that goes. I've already looked into the health insurance. It's not so bad, really. For all three of us to get a Centera HMO, with like maximum $2,500 deductible, at my income, it was a bit weird. But I went on the state of Virginia site, and I don't know if I believe the numbers or not, but it's like $200 or $300 a month. That's not bad. And I put in like my max salary, without deductions, and it was like $900 a month. So I don't know. I was expecting it to be more like $2,500 a month, like $800 for each one of us in the family. But we're not smoking, and we're looking at only 3 or 4 doctor visits a year. So and the copay is like $10, $15. I don't know if it's too good to be true. I'll talk to an agent. The state of Virginia has like licensed health insurance agents or something off of their website. I'll talk to one on Monday and try to figure this out. Because if that is true, then this whole thing about paying 50% of your taxes in Europe to get health care, it's all just BS. That can't be, then Europe is really actually doing something wrong, because the taxes in America are like 30%. It depends on how much you make and how many kids you have. If you have a mortgage, you could actually whittle that down to probably 20-25% if you take all the deductions right. Run a little business out of your house, do home office, do all that kind of good stuff. You can really, now I understand why people want to go there. And that leads me into this talk about Trump's speech, at the UN. I liked it. A lot of people were upset about it, but he told Europe right. We lived in Belgium, and everything Trump said is right. The whole of Europe is going to hell with this immigration policy. It's just They're bringing people to Europe that they're not running for their lives. They're just looking for a better life. There's nothing wrong with that. But if there's no jobs for them and you're displacing your own people and, putting pressure on the housing, of course you're going to get a nationalist movement. Duh. And then, moreover, when those people are throwing natives down the steps and, I was threatened in the park, in Belgium. I was just doing what I'm doing, blogging. Some guy wanted to, I don't know, he was yelling in French or Arabic. But, yeah, Europe really has a problem, I don't know. But, I mean, like I said, they're doing the nationalism wrong, trying to be separate nation states. They got to have one European identity, and unite against all of this craziness, because they're just getting picked off one by one, and then they have all their internal rivalries along with the outside threats. It just they're going about it all wrong, and like Trump said, I mean, they're pretty much screwed. I don't blame Ukraine for wanting America. Zelensky's always trying to pull America in. I don't blame him for doing that, because you can't count on the Europeans. They're nuts. They're absolutely crazy. But back to talking about going to America, I wanted to talk about this H1B reform, or this H1B $100,000. And I made some notes because I have a lot to say about this. The $100,000 for the H1B. So the H1B visa, first of all, what is it? It's a visa for skilled workers. So like, let's say America is only putting out 1,000 software developers, and they need 1,400, and there's like a proven labor shortage. There's like unemployment for software developers, let's say, is below 4% or below 5%. There's always going to be some unemployment because people are changing jobs, or whatever, they got fired and they're taking it easy. But below some threshold, then you can, as an employer, hire someone from abroad to fill that gap, because you're losing money. You're not able to accept contracts and everything because you don't have enough people. So that's the whole premise, is to fill skill shortages. And then the other one is like, you need some guy who's like a 10x engineer, super smart, mathematical genius, to build semiconductors. And there's only like a handful of these people in the world that have the 150 IQ and this specific skill. And, so the H1B visa is also for them. Again, because you're filling a shortage. You won't be able to build that semiconductor without this person. I mean, you might have a lot of mid-engineers who are American and all this stuff, but this is like, it's just like in sports. This is like, like professional sports, getting the very best people no matter where they are in the world, where they're from. And they have these visas for the U.S. Like the U.S. soccer team brought in a guy from France and, on this like elite visa. So that's what the H1B is supposed to be, right? Fill labor shortages, bring in 10x engineers. The guys like from the India Institute of Technology. They should be like really the best and the brightest. With their IQs, it's easy for them to know English and all of this. And that's who this visa was intended for. Like I said, very, very smart people. But it was actually abused. Instead of bringing like IIT graduates from India, like they do bring quite a few of them, but they were bringing and I've seen this myself. I work in IT. They bring in a lot of like less than a lot of subpar people. They bring in a lot of subpar people to do like menial work that could be done by an American college graduate, could be done by I don't know. You could they have all these codings schools and everything all over the U.S. where people want to change their life, change fields. They could recruit there first, but they don't. They just skip it, and they bring these people from India who they can control because they're not citizens. So they bring them in on these visas, pay them a below average wage, and just beat on them. And they're not very smart, a lot of them. So you're getting less than smart, less than stellar people, and then they're being abused, and then it's basically displacing American workers, and that's what's going on with it. But for us, like Americans of Indian origin, it makes us look bad, because then people think when they see us in an interview, their first impression is like, okay, this guy's going to work cheaper, and I can beat the crap out of him, every day, be abusive and, take his, promise him, a pay raise, but not give it to him, and keep him on one contract, contract by contract. So it dilutes our achievements, because, people like my dad, who came over, he was like the best and the brightest in India. He got a scholarship from Nehru, the first prime minister of India, to go study in America and come back to India and be like one of their lead engineers. Instead, he stayed. He liked it so much, he stayed. He joined the 3M company, became a great engineer over there, patents, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, that's how it used to work. And those people like my parents and everything, they rose up and became leaders in their work and contributed a lot to the U.S. economy. Became homeowners, became citizens, voters, made a lot of effort to learn perfect English. Yeah. So that's how it used to be. But now I says all this labor dumping, and now you're bringing a lot of these people who come over, who are subpar. Culturally, they're also subpar. They don't want to fit in. They rent an apartment from you, and they do all that heavy cooking, and it destroys the apartment. They don't even want to, I've seen some documentaries. These guys don't even want to speak English. This used to be a pride and joy of being Indian, is that we could speak English better than any of the other immigrant groups, even better than the Americans. A lot of your winners on the National Spelling Bee are of Indian origin. This used to be like a pride point, that we were doing America. We were doing everything that we needed to do to be part of that society, and now they want to make their own things. This I don't like. You have to. This was part of the Indian identity, was like to blend in and become part of the fabric, not to upset it like a lot of the other groups do. This is why the Indians have been very successful in America. So it's I covered that point. Impact on the culture, and the people are already here. So yeah, it's this whole thing with the this H1B, it's right. If you find a 10x engineer and you want to hire him to America, or find someone with stellar qualifications, $100,000 is nothing. I mean, these recruiters, that's like the fee they take, to find find these kind of people. The recruitment fees, the agency fees. They seek these people out and arrange the interviews and all that. The fees are anyway massive. So $100,000 is nothing. Some of these people, they will pay that back. If they get a job at Google or Facebook and they come up with some breakthrough, or they're able to just routinely solve problems and routinely contribute to the development of Blackwell chips. It's really something. And a lot of these guys are becoming like CEOs in Silicon Valley, so it definitely pays back. The Google CEO, Microsoft CEO, Adobe CEO, IBM CEO, Astera Labs CEO, Snowflake, you name it, all these high-flying tech companies. Almost all of them are run by immigrants from India, but they're the smart ones. The ones that, a company wouldn't bat an eye to pay $100,000 for. So, the labor dumping, just bringing in a guy and bypassing the American job market so you can make a profit, this is wrong, because like I said, it impacts us. it impacts us who are born there, you know, proud of our achievements. I mean, I was in the Navy. I did everything like you're supposed to do over there. And then you get diluted by these guys. You know, these guys dilute you. You know, we're not like the black people, like, you know, standing up for our own even if they're wrong. If our own are wrong, we're going to throw them under the bus. You know, if our own are, you know, I used to bring Indian workers to Norway, and I used to very explicitly tell and make them sign documents that they will not do their cooking in a Norwegian-owned apartment, you know, and if they do and there's like damage, it's going to come out of their salary. Because, you know, it's like curry and all this stuff goes in the walls, it goes everywhere, it goes in the curtains, and it's you know, I know firsthand, right? Because I grew up in the culture. It's very destructive, you know, and you know, I'm not only thinking about like this guy's property, you know, that we want to return his apartment back the way we got it, but I'm thinking about the reflection of Americans of Indian origin. I never say Indian American because I really don't have much to do with India, except that, you know, my parents were from there and I know the history, and yeah, I'm a little bit proud of it sometimes, you know, the things they've achieved. But, you know, I'm American first, you know. I mean, I have a Norwegian passport, Indian origin, all this stuff. But, you know, U.S. is what's given me everything. You know, the U.S. is what's made everything in my life possible. The stock market, you know, the schooling, the jobs, all that stuff. You know, the military service, getting to be in the U.S. Navy, all that stuff, you know, came from America. Everything else, like, you know, Norway and stuff gave me a way to Europe and all this, but never give me anything like what America did. You know, maybe get some health care. Yeah. You know, like I said, the health care thing is like really overrated. Health care in America is not like you're seeing on TV. I think if you go online and you look for an insurance policy, you can get a good one like Centera or Anthem. You know, if you're healthy, all you need is an HMO. You know, you don't need to, you know, buy a Cadillac plan and all that, but it's accessible. I'm pretty sure it's not, I think the media has exaggerated that one, and in Belgium people were telling me, oh, you're not going to get health insurance. I said, yeah, but my taxes go down 30%, my salary goes up 20%, you know, and I get tons of deductions. And then I don't have to speak French and Dutch and all these other arcane languages that nobody speaks anymore. You know, it's just the cultural preservation priority in Europe is just, they got it all wrong. They need to be like America. You know, America used to be full of different languages: Spanish, French, English, German, even Swedish, Dutch, and they just unified on one language. And I think that all of Europe needs to unify on English. They need to just accept, you know, most of their best days are behind them, and they need to unite for a, you know, for a new reality, the reality of China, America, Russia. Actually, like I said, Russia is a subset of China, but they have to, you know, become a mega nation. It's the mega nation reality now. But anyway, that's all I got. That's my reaction to the H1B, you know, and yeah, take it easy, and we'll see you. Bye-bye.